you've been called to be. Today I have Helen Malinowski. Second time on the show. I'm super excited. And we were just talking about what is on our heart today. So I'm looking forward to the show. Helen, thank you again for being on the show.
Dana, thank you so much for having me. I always appreciate being able to come back and see someone that I've met before and had a great
Mhm.
conversation with. And yeah,
Yes.
for any listeners out there, if you're, I know we're on Facebook Live, but if you're listening somewhere else and you want to give Dana a 5-star review, do that. That's how we find her, right? That's how we get to
Thank
know
you.
about what she has to offer. So thank you for having me back on.
Thank you. So, in our previous conversation, we were talking about your pods that you had created and that had become such a success. Just so those who don't know you, you are a somatic therapist
Yes.
and pelvic floor, correct?
Not pelvic
No.
floor, but I'm a somatic therapist, and a lot of my work, a lot of my clinical work with clients has been with women who have young children. I do a lot of work around trauma and chronic health conditions and intergenerational, breaking up intergenerational patterns. And so we have a lot of overlap between how the body's holding stress, how we're carrying stress from previous generations, how we're trying to change what we're offering to our kids from what was offered to us. And it's beautiful work, Dana. It's beautiful
Yeah.
work. I'm also a group practice owner, and I am very connected with other healers who are also business people, which is a group that I also very much enjoy working with.
That's awesome. So we were talking that, we didn't really know what we were going to chat about today since, that's just how our free spirits are. But when I asked what's on your heart's desire, it was stress management and chronic stress and how to survive in this world. Lay it
Exactly.
out, Helen. Tell
Lay
us
it out.
what you're talking about.
Oh my goodness, what I'm talking about. I am talking about being a values-driven healer and business owner and how hard that can be when we're up against the financial realities and the legal realities of the world that we have to exist in.
Yeah.
And for those of you listening, this may very much resonate with you. We know who we are, we know what we want to do, and then we experience ourselves going out into the world and trying to do that. And there's just this like this backlash. You can't do it that way, or that's not how this works, or you need to hire an attorney, or whatever it might be, that this isn't a model that actually financially works. And it's heartbreaking and stressful, and we have to figure out a way through all of that.
Yeah. It's very true. Yeah, that was sort of the conversation yesterday with clients in that, when I'm talking to them about, in thermography, I can see this stress. It's a pattern that's very distinctive. And I'm like, okay, so you have to identify what that is. He goes, well, we live in a stressful world. Like, I understand that, but you have to respond better. You have to reteach your
Mhm.
nervous system how to respond. And sometimes it's as simple as like, are you actually breathing? Are you moving? Are you stretching? And so sometimes the simplest things are very foreign to women,
Mhm.
in understanding what the impact of stress is to the body. And
Mhm.
then, as you've seen in your own practice, that hidden trauma pattern rises up and
Mhm.
slaps them in the face. So where'd that come from? So then it and that's where that somatic sort of practice comes from, is recognizing and realizing. And to me, it's about honoring the body, right?
Mhm.
Listening to the body, honoring the body, reminding it's in a safe space, and breathing
Mhm.
through it. I know it's more complicated than that, but sometimes it's the simplest things that can just like start the ball rolling.
Yeah, recognizing when your body is starting to go into some sort of stress response because it becomes a feedback loop. Something happens that that sets our safety warning signals. This isn't safe. This doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel right. Am I okay here? And our body does that automatically without even our brain making the decision. It has to, because that's how
Mhm.
we survive in the world often, right? And yet, our brain then needs to make sense of why am I feeling tight? Why am I feeling constricted? Why am I having a hard time breathing? And our brain is great at that. It's going to find a narrative that works, whether that narrative is true or not. It's just going to find something, a piece that fits right into that puzzle. I'm feeling tense, I'm feeling stressed. Well, listen to all that noise outside of traffic. It's probably, a bad day to be out on the road. It's not a safe day to drive. And it doesn't even make sense if you really break it down. So being able to connect with your body, and like you said, I mean, you just did it. Put your hand on your heart and say, it's okay. I'm going to make sense of this. Maybe, maybe I just need to move around. Maybe I need to like wiggle a little bit. Maybe I need to stretch or dance or listen to some music. Call a friend, phone a friend, and just allow whatever just happened to move through you to a place where you can reflect and say, what was that? What just happened? Yeah. I talk a lot about in my work with my clients that we're not healing from trauma is not about not being triggered. We're always going to be triggered. There's always going to be things that upset us. It is about creating some time and some space between the trigger and our response to the trigger. Just allowing for a little bit more breathing room.
So true. It's so true. Why do you think women have problems with boundaries? Like in setting up a safe space or setting up a boundary that keeps their energy flow, resilient, or knowing the right and wrong to things. Why do we have such a hard time with that?
Why do we have a hard time with boundaries? Conditioning.
Yeah.
Conditioning. I think there is conditioning. I do think that women are at some level hormonally designed to connect with others at a deeper level. It's just how our hormones work. I do think that that is combined with childhood conditioning that tells us to ignore what doesn't feel right for us because it's what the other person needs. I have an 11-year-old daughter. So for those of you who have daughters, this might resonate with you. I have been so conscious of the language that exists around her. Like when she says no, I don't want that. No, I don't want a hug. No, I don't like that item of clothing. There's the conditioned part of me that says, just put that clothes on. Just put the clothes on. It'll be fine. And she's like, no, my body doesn't feel good in the clothes. And I have to step back and say, she knows. And I don't want her to grow up and override what her body knows. I want her to be able to listen to her body's no and know that it's going to be honored. That's what I want for her.
Yeah.
It is so hard as a parent because I just want her to do what I want her to do. It's make my life easier.
So true. Yeah. So true. Yeah. It's exactly. So when you had said like the stress response for women is just been overriding, is that a common theme that you're seeing consistently lately, more so?
I think I've been seeing it for a long time. I think that we are under more stress. Like your clients yesterday said, the world is a very stressful place. I think the world is a very stressful place. I think, it's interesting because I think there's something women take on so much. They take on so much and they take on responsibility for others. They try to put forward the best version of themselves. They're carrying all of these different weights and they're wearing all of these different hats. And I do think women are capable of so much and we can do it. Should we be doing it? No, it's not necessary. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to lean on people. It's okay to have a community. It's important. It's necessary to have a community and to be able to ask for help. And I'm not saying that because we can't do it, because we certainly can do it, right? We can do it, but it's not good for us. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to step back. Are we doing it more than we used to? I actually am not sure about that. It feels pretty steady, and it feels like a pretty steady and consistent burden that we're carrying. Maybe we're a little bit more aware of it.
Right.
Maybe we're beginning to talk about it more, and we're beginning to be more aware of all of the different things that we're doing. And it becomes, I will say, and I know this from personal experience, it's hard to change these patterns. It's hard, yeah, it's hard to let go of control when it feels like if I let go of control, the ball's going to get dropped. Someone else isn't going to do this. I say this as a mother, partner, and business owner. It's very hard. You want to make sure everything gets done that needs to get done, and yet you're one person with an overwhelmed nervous system that
Mhm.
is trying to do it all. So,
Yeah, I would think that the increase of social media and the increase of TV stations with newscasts and just those, environmental sort of stressors to things have certainly accumulated over the decades. And so it's nonstop, it's always there. Whereas in
mhm.
the past, you only had five channels,
Yes,
right?
that's true.
News was only on at 6, noon and 6 o'clock, right? So,
Mhm,
or 11. So it wasn't this constant bombardment of things that are outside of our control.
mhm,
And so I think that plays a huge role in that as well. And then the accumulation of environmental endocrine disruptors or those types of stressors probably play a little bit of a role in it as well, even though we are so trying to remove them out of our systems,
mhm.
out of our households and things like that. I think it's just accumulation over time. So, and again, I don't think we breathe enough. That's that's
I don't
that's
think we
it.
did enough.
I think it's so funny. I think they're always like, "Oh, breathing. I don't know. I don't think I breathe." And I'm like, I can see you don't breathe, but
Mhm.
it's, the easiest things. If you don't have anything, you don't have any money, you can't see a therapist, you can't do those things. Please just breathe and
Mhm.
chew your food.
Breathe and chew your food and notice when you're not breathing. I think that's a hard one, right?
It
Sometimes
is.
you're like, why am I so stressed out? Why am I feeling so tight? Oh, my breath is like here.
Yeah.
It's like right here. It's like not a full, deep, expansive breath. And just
Right.
noticing that and allowing your lungs to fill up. I have come across, I talk to my clients about it. I call it the sipping breath. And it's, and you can do it with me if you want to do it with me, but I love this little tool. So you exhale, and then you inhale through your nose. And when you get to the top, you do another sip. And then all the way out, and you just let it rest.
Awesome. Awesome. I find myself gasping sometimes.
Mhm.
It's like I'll be talking away and I'll be, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I haven't breathed, yeah, my lungs haven't
Mhm.
breathed and I haven't been able to get enough oxygen to continue. So that is
Right.
always the added reminder of the sip at the end is to just expand beyond what think you're capable of.
Get a little bit more, and it also holds, it also, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not gonna say that I'm gonna say this exactly correctly, but it has to do with the CO2 in your bloodstream. So it allows for a little bit more of a buildup, and then the long exhale allows for a little bit more of a buildup of the CO2, which is very good for your nervous system. And I
Excellent.
encourage people to look up the reason why. It is not my area of expertise, but it is a very interesting phenomenon that is worth paying attention to.
That's
Yeah.
excellent. With your practice in the somatic care in the institute, do you teach any types of breathing to help control stress?
Right. So I don't actually, aside from something like this, I
Right.
don't directly teach
Okay.
breathing. It's more about tuning into your natural breath and noticing if I can allow things to move through my nervous system, if I can allow stress or events or experiences to start moving through my nervous system, my breath is going to naturally come back. And you can watch that in someone who's bracing, who's holding their body really, really tight and really, really tense, and you start to work with that tension. And when it starts to let go, all of a sudden you see a very large organic breath.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for a forced breath. We're really looking for the body to remember to breathe on its own. I remember as a child, this is totally aside, and maybe this makes sense for other people, but I remember as a child, like your breathing is both like you can control your breath, but it's also going to be automatic.
Yeah.
You're not going to die because your body's going to breathe in. But I remember as a child having these moments where I would start thinking about my breathing, and suddenly it would become hard to breathe.
Yeah. I can relate. Yes.
Yes. Yes. So it's almost as though we want to be aware of whether or not we're breathing, but we want to allow our body to regulate and rest and find its own organic breath.
That
And then
makes
we can
perfect
follow
sense.
that. Yeah.
Right. How do you help women understand stress that, like, in the tools that you use in your practice in understanding the stress?
Right, great question. So the first place is understanding how it's showing up in your body. It's going to be different for different people. Some people experience stress in their chest. Some people experience stress more in their gut. They might feel um, I've had someone describe it to me as it feels like a washing machine, you know,
Yep.
right? Um, you might experience it in muscle tension. So it could be that you're kind of tight and tense up here, or you're braced, you're kind of pushing against the world and bracing against the world. It could show up in headaches and facial jaw tension or facial tension. So the first place is starting to track.
Right.
What are we noticing? What's showing up? How do I experience that? Is it too much for me to be with that? Oftentimes, when something's uncomfortable, we ignore it or we try to push it away. That's sort of or what we want to do. We don't want to feel uncomfortable. So we might say, oh, I feel tension in my chest, so I'm going to take some really deep breaths to try to make that tension go away. But if you allow yourself to take some time to be with that discomfort, to just kind of sit in it for a little while, it is going to change on its own. And when it starts to change on its own, then you can track what happens to it and where does it go and what else starts to shift, what else starts to loosen. So those are really the the big ones. I think we don't have control over the events that are causing us stress.
Hmm.
We do have some degree of control over what we decide to do with them and how we decide to spend our time when the world gets really stressful and our lives get
Hmm.
really stressful.
Very true. Very true. So the thing is, when we're looking at things and we're understanding somatic. So can you please explain again? Because I know we talked about it in the past show, but please explain what somatic therapy is.
Yeah. Well, soma is the body.
Okay.
Soma is the body. It's a Greek word for the body. Somatic therapy is tuning in to our body rather than tuning into our mind to create space for change. I
Beautiful.
sometimes liken it to rather than having the outside world, like my brain, rather than having the outside world tell me how I'm going to feel or what I'm going to do, I'm now coming from the inside and going out, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. So you had said at the beginning of the show that you are working on a book.
I
Can you please
am.
talk about that?
Yeah, so it's called Coming Back to Yourself, and it is based on the elements that I bring into my work with group practice owners to help support them in building a practice that feels authentic and nourishing to themselves and to their clients and to their clinicians. So we talk about we really explore how do we feel into our own nervous system's response to things like marketing, right? Or things like building a team or finances, right? These are elements of running a business that are necessary which are not taught to us as clinicians, and which can bring up so much stress and so much discomfort. And we can experience this pushback of, oh, but these are my values, and and I want to do it this way, but I also recognize that financially that's not feasible. And so now my body's locked in this conflict. And the book it just kind of walks you through, how do you make some of these decisions that are difficult decisions?
And still honoring yourself.
And still honoring yourself and
Right.
taking care of yourself. Because at the end of the day, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? You have to be okay. You have to be, you have to take care of yourself to take care of the people around you and to have, and you want, and I say this all the time to people that I work with, but if you leave what you're doing, if you decide to sell your practice or see fewer clients, then fewer people in the world are being helped. Fewer people, your reach doesn't extend as far.
Right.
So if we can find ways for you to build a practice, to build a life, it doesn't have to be a practice, to build a life that is fulfilling to you and also meets your financial needs and meets your time needs, then you're going to have an impact on so many more people.
Right.
And we don't want to lose that. We don't want people to burn out, to decide that they don't want to do this anymore. We want as many people out there following their dream as is possible.
Very true. And it's a hard balance, right? Sometimes it's a hard balance in like what our heart's desire is and how many people we want to reach and what our purpose and passion is. And then you just don't have the bandwidth to do it. And I think even for women who are a little older, are still stuck in a paper, old marketing sort of concept, it's hard to wrap our heads around it. Fear sets in and confusion, and how do we turn from here? So it is hard to manage or wade your way through understanding while keeping yourself focused on what your goals are and that whole thing. It's a very
Exactly.
difficult process.
It is very difficult. And I think a lot of people, well, I came into this work really struggling with marketing because I didn't want to feel salesy. I don't want to come across as like, it just didn't feel right to me.
Yeah,
And
I know.
it didn't feel right. And my whole body would get tight and I would lose my words and I wouldn't know what to say. And I would like get all clammed up. I'd avoid meetings. I'd avoid the conversations. I wouldn't want to put posts on social media. And at some point, it came to me that I'm not doing anybody any favors. I feel like I have something to offer. I feel like my practice has something to offer. I feel like the clinicians that work for me have so much to offer. And if I'm just sitting back here, hoping people are going to find us, then no one's going to find us, and they're not going to benefit from it. They're not going to be able to get the help and the support that they need. So it's almost like an obligation that I have to my community, that I find my voice and use my voice and talk about the things that we do.
Yeah, I run into that as well. I'm like, there's so many people talking on socials. I know I should talk. I love doing the podcast because I get to put it out after. And I always wake up in the morning and go, I'm going to do a reel today. And then 2 days later, I'm like, I still haven't done a reel today. So it's hard to get past that sort of timing and thought process and what needs to go out there. But it's just this, you just do it, right?
You just do it, and you really tune into what is it that's holding me back. I'll put on my calendar video day, right? This is a chunk of time that I'm going to spend, taking videos or doing reels or doing, whatever it might be that I need to get done. And I find myself booking over that block of time because I don't want to do it. And I have to catch myself.
Exactly.
I have to
Yeah.
catch myself and I have to say, wait a second, like I put that in there for a reason. But what is it that's happening? What is it that I'm feeling? I'm feeling apprehension. I'm feeling nervousness. I'm feeling self-conscious. That's showing up in my body in a certain way and the easiest thing for me to do is ignore it, say I'm too busy and put other things on my schedule. But
Right.
what really needs to happen and what I try to do and what I encourage people that I work with to do is let's sit with that discomfort. Let's sit with that paradox as it is. Like on the one hand, I know that this is something that's important for me to do, and on the other hand, my body's saying, no, 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 I don't want to do it. But what is it that I don't want to do? What is the fear? I don't have to make a decision right in that moment. I can sit in the
Right,
indecision until
right,
something changes, until something shifts and changes, and I can listen to what my body is telling me. And if
right.
there is a real fear, like it can the social media world can be a scary place. Maybe I've had some bad experiences. I personally haven't yet, thank goodness, but maybe I've had a person who's had some bad experiences where there's been just some like nasty things that have been said in response to things that I'm posted. Well, my body's going to respond to that as a threat in just the same way as if it's somebody, yelling at me on the street. It doesn't feel any different.
Right,
So
right.
I have to figure out, how do I move through that? How do I not have that be something that holds me back and keeps me small and keeps me quiet? Because it is not, I don't need to be small and quiet.
Right.
I don't need to.
Yeah, I think a lot for some practitioners, it can be this imposter syndrome as well. I
Mhm.
can't be telling them something they don't already know, or I don't think I'm, smart enough to say these things, or different things like that. But
Mhm.
we have to understand what, our own true sort of wants, needs, and desires, our passions and our purposes
Mhm.
are, and express those. And
Exactly.
those people who resonate or don't resonate doesn't matter, but it's who you need to connect with. And if we can't, then the needle's not going to change,
Exactly.
right? And I have a girlfriend. I'm like, okay, I can't do your reels for you. I don't own your company, right? I'm like, you have to do them. And then she does them about 12 times. And I'm like, I'm
Just
sure the
doing it.
first one was perfect.
Yeah.
Stop overthinking.
Stop
And I think we
overthinking.
all need to learn that, right? So,
Yeah. We can be so critical of ourselves.
yeah,
We can be so critical, way more critical than other people are going to be of us. We're sometimes, so
very
just
true.
reminding ourselves that, you know, just going out there and doing our best and giving it a try is, it's okay. It's okay if it's not perfect. It's
Right.
okay if we've got little wrinkles, right? It's okay if it doesn't matter in the big scheme of things. You are sharing something that's valuable and something that's important and something that other people need to hear.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So when do you think you'll have the book done?
Good question. It's done. When is it going to be out? Sometime this summer. I don't have a date. People can go to my website, somaticintegrationinstitute.org /book or /coming back. Either one is going to get you there. To get like a little preview of it, and then there'll be a link there to track it down on Amazon when it's ready
When
to
it's
go.
launched.
But yeah, I'm
It's
I'm excited
exciting.
about it. I think it's going to be really helpful for people and really supportive of their journeys and in whatever it is that they're trying to build in their lives.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. The getting things onto paper is easy, and then it's all the fine tuning stuff that needs to happen behind the scenes, right? You got to proof it, you have someone else read it, you read it yourself and second guess the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a tough process. It's a tough
Mm-hmm.
process. Yeah,
It
for
is, and
sure.
talk about visibility. Talk about that fear of putting something out there and what are people going to say and how are people going to receive it and oh, do I imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
It's so real. It's so real. But I am excited. I think it has a lot of value in it. I think that it's going to be really helpful for
That's
people who
amazing.
want to dive into it. Yeah. So Amazon,
Amazing.
that's somaticintegrationinstitute.org /coming back. It's called Coming Back to Yourself. And yeah, it'll be a great guide.
I think it's amazing. Thank you so much, Helen. I think y- you are just such a sweet spirit. You're such an amazing, caring person, and I enjoy every time we talk.
It was really
Exactly.
nice to be able to come back and see you again.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
perfect. Perfect. So let's end with, what is a word of wisdom that you are holding true to, or that you keep finding yourself sharing with your clients now?
That is a really good question. What's something that I keep coming back to? This idea that it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be hard. We make
And
things
that's
too hard for
everything.
ourselves. That's it. We make things too hard for ourselves.
Yeah, we do. That's amazing. Well, good to see you again. Thank you so much for spending your precious time with me and my audience. And I thank you again. I look forward to the book down the road. And of course, as always, all the information about Helen will be in the show notes. Thank you for being part of the show. Have an
Thanks, Dana.
amazing